Hi everyone, welcome to today's webinar and demo. Today we'll be focusing on Atlassian's ITSM solution, Jira Service Management. Our session today is brought to you by Appnovation, an Atlassian Gold Solution Partner. I'm Vanessa Chiappetta. I'm a senior associate for the go-to-market team at Appnovation, and I'll be the moderator for today's session. I'm joined here by two panelists, Paul from Atlassian and Faisal from Appnovation. Paul and Faisal, can you take a moment to introduce yourselves, please?
Paul, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, sure. I'm sorry, I was waiting for you. It's great to be with you folks. Paul Buffington from Atlassian. I'm the principal solution engineer covering the enterprise space in the IT area. I've been here 6 years, actually, last week. And I'm super excited just to talk to you and share with you about what's going on around IT from Atlassian as we continue to invest into this space.
Awesome. Thanks, Paul. Yeah, so my name is Faisal. I sit here on the client services team as the Appnovation lead. I've been here for 5 years, and essentially my role at the company is to make sure that all our clients are getting matched to resources and solutions to meet their needs, essentially. Appnovation itself is a full-service digital consultancy, and then we really focus on building people-centric solutions. As experts in corporate agility and governance, we partner with Atlassian, and we've been partners for the past handful of years to deliver custom enterprise solutions across really award-winning experiences for our clients. So we thought that in this session, we'll show you how, what Atlassian's approach to ITSM is through Jira Service Management, which empowers teams to collaborate at high velocity. So it really brings together the development, IT, and business teams within your organization and deliver, operate, and support exceptional service experiences, which has become the expectation in today's market. And clearly, I think as the last year has all taught us, agility can't really stop at the end of the DevOps pipeline. Being nimble in your operations is key. As well, innovation and customer expectations demand a higher level of cross-team collaboration and movement in order to successfully complete. So looking forward to having this conversation with you today and to share some of our insights.
Thank you, Faisal. We have a lot to cover today. Before we dive into the subject matter, I just want to cover some of the logistics. The session is recorded and will be shared with participants afterwards. The format is around 45 minutes discussion followed by a demo, and then we'll have about 10 minutes for a Q&A. We have some polls for you to answer. You'll see those pop up at the bottom of your Zoom screen. So we'd love for you to share your input and answer the polls. And of course, if you do have questions, please pop those into the Q&A and we'll get to those at the end of the session. If we don't get a chance to answer your question, we'll follow up directly. So let's get started here. It goes without saying that even in the days before COVID, we were seeing a lot of businesses adopt an agile mindset. Since then, I think we could all agree that the pace of change just keeps increasing, and being able to quickly respond to customer needs and pivot to market shifts is essential to survival. Now, if we consider all the businesses that suddenly found themselves supporting a remote workforce almost overnight, or for example, hospitals and clinics that had to switch to virtual doctor's appointments, we'll notice that in almost every instance, IT and dev teams are working around the clock to do what I think is almost the nearly impossible. They're creating and supporting exceptional digital experiences, and they have to ensure availability and performance of services for customers and employees. I think it's a lot. With that in mind, I want to talk about the importance of corporate agility and cross-team collaboration. But first, we want to hear from you, and we'll dive right into a quick poll. So the first poll is, are you planning or have you recently undergone a digital transformation initiative, such as a critical tool rollout, cloud migration, or platform modernization? So I'll give you a few seconds to respond. We'll be closing the poll shortly. All right, it's looking like 80% of you are either planning or have undergone pretty significant initiative. Paul, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's not surprising, and it's confirms what we're seeing. I was just with a customer a couple weeks ago out of Europe, and they're actually what I call straddling the fence. Maybe going back to my days of growing up in Montana in the ranching industry, but they're kind of standing between both worlds. They're moving a lot of their critical capability from on-prem to AWS, and they're actually moving into Atlassian's cloud at the same time, because they want cloud unlocks not only faster delivery and innovation, actually unlocks new ways of working. So that doesn't surprise me. It's good to see that in that poll.
All right, great, thanks. We now have a second poll. Let me pull that up. What challenges have your cross-functional teams faced when collaborating on servicing requests that come from internal or external channels, or responding to critical incidents? This one's multiple choice. Give everyone a few seconds to answer. And we'll be closing the poll in just a few more seconds. Okay, we have a nice split here, but we can see that 67% and the majority are saying all of the above. Faisal, what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, you know what's funny? I was actually expecting the same exact answer. I mean, this just goes to show that no matter what industry you're in, what vertical you belong to, we're all in software development or IT to some extent. And this just goes to show that everyone's, not having one or the other. It is a combination of different pain points that are more than likely pushing them towards the digital transformation initiatives that we were just talking about. So it's great to see that both answers align pretty well. So I think this conversation is going to be pretty valuable, and we're addressing specific concerns as it relates to those to the answers that we received. So that's reassuring.
So Faisal, I know that your role requires you to hear and consult on a multitude of different needs and challenges that some of our clients communicate to us. From your perspective, how have IT teams evolved to adapt to these changes?
Yeah, so maybe before I talk about evolution, I'll outline the main drivers that led to this evolution. And really the way we categorize them, there are three main buckets, if you will. So the need to ship and deliver value much quicker and faster to the customer, and still be able to minimize business impact that would result as part of that. The second most important one is also the need to ensure that these mission critical systems, where you're delivering value to your customer, and any critical applications that support that, and the services that your teams have built are always online and available. And I think again, this is more apparent now more than ever from the last year's occurrences. Finally, really the need to deliver optimal user experiences and a frictionless, seamless support experience is 100% what's driving the evolution within the IT world and within IT teams. So really, in my actual interactions with a lot of these teams, and so basically to examine what changed. Your infrastructure is a big part of this, and I think everyone's seeing these industry trends leaning more and more towards the cloud, either a cloud-first mentality or maybe a cloud-only mentality, more and more in the organization. I think Atlassian being a big proponent of that. So I feel that as organizations start to realize the value of and the reliability and the security and performance of certain cloud-hosted solutions, they're opening up more to the idea. So, interesting statistic, in fact, that according to Gartner, there's probably 80% of workloads that will be shifting to the cloud by 2025. So this is a major push, and 80% is by no means a small percentage. So this is the major industry trend, and I think it's being sort of witnessed across all verticals again, and a lot more in software and tech. So it's been exciting for us to actually witness this and be part of that move. But I would say that was a primary sort of observation on evolution. similarly, I would say your operations need to be just as nimble as well. And as I think we mentioned earlier, agility and team collaboration are becoming more of an actual requirement than a choice. So also Forrester, although I hate to use Forrester, Gartner, but absolutely, they estimated around 68% of their infrastructure teams are actually implementing Agile DevOps now. So the ITSM teams that maybe have not adopted an Agile approach are gonna, find themselves being bypassed to make way for new Agile methodologies that have actually been adopted. Finally, I would say another interesting statistic here is that a lot of the infrastructure teams are moving towards Agile methodologies. More and more, I think, today. So the ability to actually deliver value quicker, be always available regardless of physical location, and just the natural growth of DevOps over the past few years is also something that I've been witnessing, and almost all organizations now have DevOps functions that they rely on pretty heavily. So I mean, I covered, I think, what I think would be the evolutions. Paul, you want to talk about the challenges if you want?
Yeah, and a lot of what you're saying resonates. And I think the other aspect, coming back to that report, that Gartner report, and I value both Gartner and Forrester, they're just coming at data at different perspectives. And I think they offer really good insight of where organizations, especially the enterprise, is at. But the Agile making its way into IT, I think, has been something we've actually observed over probably 2+ years. But in that report, they said, like 80% of ITSM teams, if they have not embraced Agile ways of working, they're going to find that the business is going to go around them. And so for us, oftentimes when I'm spending time with customers, it focuses less on the technology and more on the ways of working. That's why ITIL 4, I was kind of a skeptic coming into it. And I said, is it still relevant? And then the more we dug into it, like, yes, it's embracing this and saying, start where you are. It has guiding principles. It looks at the value stream and flow of work that we've gone from process to practice. Last couple conversations that I've had with customers spent more time on how do they work versus simply just trying to solve it from a technology standpoint. And that really stands out at me, of just stepping back and saying, how can we empower this team to work better?
So thanks, Paul, for that insight. Faisal, that being said, is there any way that we could help teams collaborate at high velocity based on your experience?
Yeah, absolutely. I think an examples of that, what we're seeing more and more of today is dev and IT teams. They really need to work closely together to deliver experiences. Marketing and support teams, they're collaborating on iterative planning and rolling out their products. Even finance and sales, they're meeting to put together pricing models, and exec teams are hyper-focused on the traceability of progress and dependencies across the org. So, I mean, it's just showing you how well-knit and how integrated these teams need to be. And, in true Atlassian fashion, it really starts all with teams. So mainly, cultures, practices, technology, and team topology as a whole, those are all key factors. And really, I think Paul touched on this. An organization really needs to start where they are today and work towards that North Star of improvement. Just as a tool, Jira Service Management is a technology, a solution that allows organizations to get that value from their ITSM framework, empower teams, but really the flexible processes, the intuitive workflows, bringing visibility to work within an open collaborative platform, breaking those silos that legacy tools have been notorious to actually scale out over, and just accelerating workflow by putting development and operation teams in a position where they can succeed, and all within an integrated platform.
Thanks. That's a long list of benefits there. But Paul, can you tell us if there are any, and in what other ways Jira Service Management can help organizations?
Yeah, and I think if you go back to this pivot, because we've been in the IT space for quite a while with Jira Service Desk, it grew up out of customers using Jira for IT, like 40% when we originally shipped the product 7+ years ago, or actually 8 years now. And I think if you look at this initial direction where we're going, we see this movement wanting to move IT organizations closer to the work that's critical. In fact, it reminds me, Faisal, the work we were doing with an entertainment customer there in Canada. And one of the driving things of them, their developers, they do work very close to them, but they're on separate platforms and systems. And they needed to be very quick. Like when you pushed out that latest release of what you're working on, we need to know, because if there's an outage or something impacting the business, they have to be on the same page. And so bringing IT closer to them, but at the same time, the responsiveness. It reminds you mentioned COVID in the opening, and I think this is a key part. Can a team pivot overnight to be able to adjust the needs of the business? You think about when we hit that point last year and we're going remote in a matter of a couple of days. I was talking to a customer in the Bay Area, a very large Fortune 200 company. They stood up a dedicated service desk for their organization and had the link ready to go on Monday. And that was IT, some facilities. How do I get my material, my stuff out of my office? I need to go back. I now have all kinds of remote, working needs, setting up a home office. So facilities was in. They did it in just a matter of less than 24 hours. It's a phenomenal story. And I saw this over and over again. The teams that were set to pivot at that point, and that can happen a lot of times. An acquisition happens, something in the business changes. Is IT nimble enough? And I think the one thing that we've done is empowering the team to make some of those changes. New automation rules, changes to my queues, just little things that can change the way that they work. And I think that's a paradigm shift that we see that's really important within the industry.
All right, I think this was all very, very, very interesting, and gives us a great insight into the business case and the understanding of what really DevOps teams really do and struggle with, and the importance to keep up with the trends and remain competitive in the future. And I think we can all establish that it goes without saying that corporate agility and quicker collaboration are both needed in order to survive and thrive in business environments. I think that's my take on that.
Thanks. I think it's time now to see this a little bit more in action. We had our manager of technology and Atlassian expert, Robert Nadon, prepare a demo for us. He'll walk us through submitting a ticket from the user's point of view and how an agent would respond to that request. So let's just take a moment here and see what that journey looks like.
My name is Robert Nadon. I'm a manager of technology here at App Innovation. I've been here just over a year. My primary responsibility here is Atlassian expertise and architecture for the product services team. I've been actually working with the Atlassian tools for almost a decade, and I do hold 3 Atlassian certifications. I'm SAFe SBC certified. Well, that's who I am, and today I'll be giving you a demo of the service request portion of the Atlassian ITSM tool within Jira Service Management. So the Atlassian Jira JSM ITSM solution truly brings teams together, and it adds to that the true customizability of the Atlassian product suite. It's really what made Atlassian what it is today, how it can be customized to cover all the teams and be customized to truly fit into your organization, no matter what your size. So when a customer, and a customer being either an external customer or an internal user that needs ITSM support, comes into the portal, this is what they're going to see. And you will have here all the various teams, because like I said, it truly brings the teams together. And so you see here, you have the various teams. And so what it allows for your seasoned users to go directly to the help they need. If I need financial help and need to ask them a question, a payroll question, I can just jump right into that, and that will get me directly to the finance support team. And if I want something else, I know where to go. But let's take, for instance, you're new at the company and say you just broke your keyboard. Okay, they may not know to jump into IT operations and report broken hardware. So given that, they could just use the self-help portal, and they could say, well, I've got a broken keyboard, and it will pull up 2 things. In the top half will be articles from the knowledge base. So within all of the projects you saw before, each one has a knowledge base tied to it, or can have a knowledge base tied to it. It is optional. Like I said, everything's customizable. And so it will pull from the IT operations here and IT support from the different projects if it finds any matches. And this allows the user to help themselves and to possibly fix the solution themselves with not having to bother your support team. And so here you can read it, but nope, I have a key that popped out, for example, say, and so that didn't solve it. So the other thing they have is it pulls up possible matches from the various projects. And so this is the forms they can go in and just have the form right there. So they can click it and say, okay, that's what I want to do. I want to report broken hardware, summarize the problem, enter key, keyboard. And what this also is going to do, as you see, as I type this in, it's going to search again the knowledge base, but this time it's a little different. This time it is only going from the project I jumped into. So I just went into the IT operations project, and so it will only search that, and we'll do a little deeper search because it is searching a single knowledge base. How urgently? Well, it's pretty urgent because I need to hit enter. All right, and then you create the issue. Okay, so now you have agents, which are those who are going to address the service request that was just requested. And when an agent comes in, they're going to have a little bit of a different view. So this is going to show all the recent projects I worked on. It's only going to show, obviously, projects I've worked on and projects that I have access to. And that's the same as before on the other site. It's only showing the things you actually have access to, which is somewhat obvious. But if you go into the project itself, so we want to go into IT operations, and we notice this issue just appeared now. And so here you have various fields to where you can work it. And this is where your agents are going to spend a lot of their time with the queues here. This is a queue, and queues can be completely customized. You can have queues with my tickets, open tickets. It's a little too advanced for right now, but we can get into that in a future demo. So, and also here you'll see the knowledge bases here, and from here you can go directly and create articles. If you just solved a really complicated problem, your agent can create an article directly from the JSM tool, as well as they want to access the knowledge base too, because there'll be run books and there'll be information that they can use to solve the problem. So going back to the queue, and I'll go ahead and go to all open tickets. So what an agent will do will say, oh, okay, I see a new unassigned ticket. I'm going to go into that ticket. And right here, I have all the fields. You see the things that were filled out. So I did a high urgency. I didn't put an impact, so that says none. And you'll notice it's a little less font. Here you have comments, both internal and external. You have history and work log. All that's contained right here. But I guess the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the workflow. Now, workflow in Jira is also one of the key strengths behind it. It is truly a customizable, automatable, a really powerful part of the JSM solution. I just quickly show you this workflow, but these workflows are, you make them as you want with transitions and states, and within the transitions, you can put in automations and guards and conditions and things like that. But we're going to go ahead and go, all right, well, let's start investigating it. So I'm going to investigate it. And what's going to pop up now is what's called a transition window. Now, these are optional. You don't have to have them if you just want to put it directly in there. But if you have any fields that you generally always change during this transition, you want to pop them up here. For example, assignee. I'm starting to investigate, so we want to assign it. Well, let's assign it to me. I could assign this to anybody. I could assign this to, Michael, my coworker, but no, let's go ahead and not do that. Let's assign it to me. And in the comments here, I can do both internal and external comments. Now, anything I put in here will show on this view, but not show on the other view. So let's go ahead and put it in here and say, I'm on it, and start investigating. Now you notice the status has changed to work in progress, and you'll notice there's SLA counts here. And so I put it into work in progress, and I reply to the customer. So let's refresh this. And boom, I get a check marks here because I have responded. So time to first response is now. Now these are completely customizable. You can remove them, you cannot have them. By default, it will, JSM project by default will put 2, time to first response and time to resolution. And that is the basics of really handling service requests with JSM.
All right, I gotta say that took me back to my service desk days, remembering when we would get bombarded with all kinds of just service requests or the famous password reset. So it's making me wonder if how actually Jira Service Management is designed so as to avoid teams getting flooded with requests while keeping customer experience as frictionless as possible.
That's a great question. One of the things is the overall cloud platform that we've invested in is around automation, and this is low code, no code. And part about Agile and it's being a learning team, saying I'm going to do a 30-day retro. We're seeing this surge of tickets. Let's put some automation around this to get better response, either using knowledge to have the right knowledge articles to get that in front of them, or even a follow-up. But what you said about the password reset or access requests, so many teams are automating those now. And that's with what comes out of the box, or there's even great marketplace vendors that you can plug in with different, ways that you want to automate this type of request going over and setting up a account or changing it. I think that's the key part of it. That Vanessa, what you're remembering there, finally those days, that work won't go away, but it's going to shift, and we can free them up to do even more valuable work and where they can focus.
Yeah, 2012, Vanessa, I would have loved this. Thanks. So I found, like I said, having been in the service desk shoes, I found the interaction between Jira Service Management, Insight, and Confluence to be pretty seamless. In addition to a really good user experience, what do you find to be the main value drivers for customers looking to leverage these capabilities within their ecosystem?
I'll jump in first on this one, Faisal, and then feel free to follow me here. I think it's the overall, especially with cloud, we're creating this seamless experience focused on the way and understanding that teams work, so they can come in and make this their own support environment. And they can, Faisal mentioned that team topology. You might be structured in a very centralized team today. And I watched this with a major furniture manufacturer globally. They build comfortable chairs, just kind of a hint. And so they started with 5 teams and different support projects. There are over 20 teams and different support projects today as they've scaled out globally. So the platform and the products are put together in a way that they can start. They have a quick way to start, quick time to value, get up and running. And then as they learn and grow, evolve to fit as the changes happen in the organization.
Yeah, no, I think you captured it perfectly, Paul. So nothing to add to that myself. Alrighty, I guess we'll have to jump into segment 3. And Paul, I think now that we've gone through the I guess servicing a request that comes through the help desk, and it's something I think that all of us here can be familiar with or might have interacted with such system and a workflow in part of our onboarding with any organization. I think we should cover the incident response, and if you could show us what that looks like and responding to a major outage that might happen, and what JSM looks like if you were to service such a request.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thanks for giving me some time to talk about this. I think, on the request side fits with every team, and the other aspect is when something goes down, something goes bump in the night. And our acquisition of Opsgenie just a couple of years back is becoming even more seamless. So I want to walk you through kind of a couple of areas. And Jira is a platform, and Confluence is the other part of our platform. They fit together nicely in the way that teams collaborate and share knowledge and then respond to work. And this work in this case is something's not right. Could be low level, P4 type incident. It could be a P1 that we've taken down a major incident. And I start with this dashboard because that's the power of Jira, that I can take work that's happening from different teams. I joined an automotive manufacturer about 6-7 months ago. And when I went to meet with them, I thought, I'm going to talk to the operations team that's handling all this. No, it was like 12 different teams, line production applications. They own their own services and applications, and they respond to their own incidents. So that's the phenomenon of this, that I have a view of what's going on. It's up on the screen. I'm running a data gen on this, so you'll see some different data going through. Just to give you an idea that at a glance, I'm like, not looking good here. We've got some incidents going on. The other part of this, I think, is I'm going to go over here for a second. I've created an optimized project around an operations team. One of the things that we've done, and this is one of the newest things that just shipped, is the ability to get up and running for the type of team that you have. And then what we're going to be seeing is this type of template that's built for IT, but you have other templates in here that as a starting point, you can adapt to your way of working. The Opsgenie capability is woven into this template, and I'm going to talk about that. But I'm going to go back to something that Robert showed, and that's the portal. The portal is still for service requests, for incidents, for work orders, whatever the type of work is. I'm seeing something here. I'm seeing a open web store. I don't even know who to find. I'm seeing an open web store production issue. I'm going to search because I'm going to find where to go. And that's the power of the smarts. The smarts is our AI capability across all of our products in the cloud. And one of those is right here. It knows that when someone has said production issue in the past, it knows that this is the team where to go. There's some knowledge articles as well. And so I can quickly jump in here and tell you, hey, I had a customer on the call here. We were talking about they can't purchase something. I won't fill this one out for sake of time. I've already created some incidents, and it'll go ahead and route it directly to that team. Now, what happens is they're going to get updates. They're going to find out, hey, we're starting to respond to this. It looks like this is a pretty big issue, known issue. And if you get any more calls from customers, we're on it. We'll even see something go into status page. But here's where I'm going to come over to my queue. We set up queues in a way that the team works. So this is, let's say I own the e-commerce platform and the team is working here. It looks like someone already jumped in, is working on one of the tickets. And so we're able to set this up in the flow of work, or maybe it's by region. And so the one that I created just a few minutes ago to save me a little bit of time is that I have this incident ongoing. And I know already a couple of things with this. I know that there's EMEA customers in London who are reporting this purchasing issue. The clock's already started in the SLA. I'm the first person that's going to go ahead and take this. So as Max, I'm jumping in. It automatically assigned me. I'm a member of the, we've added this support group here, and I do a lookup based on the service. Now, let me tell you about service. This is something that we launched with this updated release in Jira Service Management. We created this unified services view across your development teams, your IT teams. It connects to the project, the changes, even the CI/CD tools we'll see in just a second. And I can do a lookup via automation, or the user that reported this told me, hey, it's the open web store. Now, what's interesting is, and this is something we just actually shipped in the last couple of weeks, is that it's going out and finding other related incidents to this service. So that's great. I already know someone's reporting this one, and I've also linked a couple others. And I haven't created a lot of other sample data as I'm going through here. I'll probably see some more tickets come in a few minutes. But the idea is I have visibility, but let's go to the next level. What this does for me is it gives me context. The services layer, I can now connect with the Insight CMDB. We know that this service is dependent upon these other service relationships like SAP. Maybe we're getting some customer data from their Commerce Cloud, the product catalog. Probably some of these are, custom, and others of these are off-the-shelf software. But where does it run? Well, I've connected this in my CMDB to the infrastructure. I'm using Insight Discovery, and this data that you're going to see on screen here actually was from a discovery scan of a small data center in our Sweden office. And it ran, it's ageless, it was able to go through, find that information, and report that into the Insight CMDB schema for this data. So now I have a little bit more context around what kind of issues are open on this, or what kind of applications are running here, and what does this application do, or what other servers is it connecting up to. So, basic example, but hopefully it gives you the idea that you can connect the appropriate infrastructure data to the services to get context within a matter of just a single click. And that data could be very well, we have integrations with AWS, Azure, SCCM. Those are all coming to our cloud offering of Insight that we're excited that actually launched back a few months ago. And so now I have some context. The other thing that I did is I ran an automation rule. I was just out on holiday for a couple of weeks. I don't remember what it is about this service and where I should go first, because I'm the first responder. I am going to declare a major incident in just a second, but I need to check a few things. So I'm going to go ahead and start investigating. I'm going to do what my fiddly reminder here is, and this is part of what we identified in a retro, we said, let's add an automation rule just to remind the first responder of what they need to do. And one of those is to check the run book. Now, all of us have and know or have created troubleshooting guides. And the first thing you ask someone else in Slack or Microsoft Teams, like, hey, where's that troubleshooting document at? And you go searching for it. Well, this is actually an example from a customer. Many customers, we've actually seen this. We've actually added these templates in Confluence. Instead of having this out existing externally, you can now have this in here that's now fully collaborative. So I can ask, Harvey, and so it's interactive. That's, if you haven't seen Confluence before, a very highly interactive wiki for critical information for driving your process and your support practices. Well, I start going through here and I see that it was updated back then, but I've asked a question. Oh, that's right. It does run on this database and the lookup is using this app. Okay. And it's a Redis. Oh, all right. I forgot about that. So I need to go check the data watch console. And here's the things I need to look for. Oh, the known error. This sounds very similar to the known error that we have previously. My whole example is a basic example is you can bring relevant information at the fingertips of that team, whether it's through an automation or guess what, also through the knowledge article that's right here that I can get to. So knowledge is critical, not only for the end user, as Robert showed, it's also there and very important for the technical support team. Well, let's go ahead and launch. This is a major incident. I couldn't solve it. I looked at the dashboard. I need to get the developers involved. So we're going to go ahead and declare a major incident. So we'll go ahead and say it's the Open Web Store. I can go through and pick multiple. I'm just going to go ahead and pick Open Web Store. We'll stick with that one. Should have stuck with what I originally clicked. There we go. And it brings in what I have previously in there. It's also going to allow me to say, well, this is a P2. And I can set the severity, and so you can drive different things off of this. And it also is reminding me, hey, there is one open on the billing application. I don't think that's related, so I'm going to go ahead and this is a product lookup issue that they're searching for products, and we're going to go ahead and do that. Now, this actually I'm excited. This just came in. What it did, because I created a couple of the tickets, and it says, hey, this is our smarts. This is actually the smarts going and looking. It knows what I'm looking at here. It says, guess what? You've got some things out here that might be related. I wish I would have had more data because I had my last demo a couple hours ago. I had 4 or 5 of these tickets. Let's say I got a big surge of tickets reported by users, and they're talking to your customers on the phone, and they're frustrated and they want to find out what's going on. Smarts found it. I can link these together. Now I'm going to work these from one parent incident. The major incident has now been declared, and it's launched into our Opsgenie capability. Think of that as your major incident response capability that's built into the product. What we've done here, and over time, over the rest of this year, we announced this at our team event, we are going to bring more and more of the capability from Opsgenie right here on the screen, or easy access within a click or so, that I can get to it. Now, right now, we transition over in Opsgenie. I'm going to show you that. But this is one of the first things they've brought over. They brought the timeline. So let's say I'm still the lead, I'm working with the customer, but I want to know what the timeline and how they're doing. So let's go look at the major incident. Opsgenie provides me a way to not only respond to an incident that's possibly lower level to major from an end user, it also allows me to come from the other direction. Many of you on today's webinar probably are very familiar with events and alerts. And let's say that I'm seeing something here. This looks like this alarm here. It's Open Web Store. It's related to that incident. And so I'm going to go ahead and associate that. And I'm going to EMEA, customers reporting a systems issue. And if I go back over to my incident, I've now brought the alerts in. Now we could have gone that way. If let's say you got a notification, you say, that alert looks really suspect. I'm going to open an incident. I'm going to go ahead and respond to it. You can go from that direction as well. So you can see associated alerts. I can click over to it, or what I just did manually and added them to the incident. A couple of things I want to highlight here for sake of time. I'm going to move pretty quickly. I want to do the investigation. I will mention that I could create a Slack channel, so I can come in here and associate this with a Slack channel, and my Slack just beeped at me and said, hey, you're ready to start responding. And we could do our entire collaboration from Slack. And we would be able to, I'm just going to bring it on my screen here so you can see it. And this is with Microsoft Teams as well. I can add a responder, I can send an update. There is a bunch of actions that I can take right directly from here. And I would not skip a beat from where I live as an operations team, as a development team. I'm right in the tool that I spend the majority of my day. But at the same time, these updates can go back to send an update. Let's see. Oops, yes, I cannot type. Okay, and we're going to send this back over. So if I come back over here, we would eventually see this come back into the timeline here, and there it goes right there. So it's, where do you feel most comfortable? Maybe you want to even launch into the Incident Command Center. I won't go there for now. It is a video capability that's built in, or you can use Zoom. So let's say if you want to go into a video command center, let's say there's a P1 major outage. I've got an incident commander that's pulling people in and out. You're going to tell me what's going on. You're going to show me something. Maybe video makes better sense. You're able to actually use it. This is all built into the product. Last thing I want to show you here. And that is, okay, Open Web Store, that's great. We have that service. Here is the service that's associated with it. I'm able to tell what else it's related to. I can also see that there's an open incident that we're working. I can see a lot more about it, including even previous incidents. But I work very closely with my dev teams. And they work, in this case, they work in Bitbucket, but they could be working in Jenkins, they could be working in Circle CI, GitLab, whatever their CI/CD tool. They don't even have to leave their CI/CD tool. As they deploy code, we can have it create a ticket in Jira Service Management because of the integration. And it would register saying, hey, there was 3 things that happened here, and I didn't put in a failure. You could possibly have a failure come in, and you would be able to indicate, oh, that's what, I'll just pick this one. Let's say that's the failure. I would say that looks really suspect. I'm going to add that in, and I'm going to add that as a potential cause and pull that development team back into this. From here, I can even take a corrective action. Let's say that we're going to send to the platform team, we're going to ask for a hot fix because we were just going through this deployment. Hot fix for product lookup. I don't even have to wait. I could go create a change ticket if I want, but in this case, they're here, they're working, and say, hey, we'll put it right now in there, and we'll work on it in the next 50 minutes, and we'll ship it. Great. I can follow the status of it right here in the major incident. Now, the last thing I'll do, I've covered this very briefly, and the app innovation team can take you through and go much deeper on this, but I want to talk about when I close this out. Let's say that Max actually joined us. He identified what the issue is, and they rolled back the VM, and now we've got the proper product lookup off Elasticsearch. Great, we've recovered. Don't know root cause. Probably have to do a problem investigation. But here's what we do. We go back over to the incident, and it's still work in progress because I'm the owner of it back to all of those, that part of the organization. What I get is a status update in here saying, hey, we've just updated, and I could go back and check the status of it. Now, by the way, you could automate if you wanted this to transition to resolve and let Max keep working on whatever else he's working on. But all I have to do is open up this. It brings up this dialogue where I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to say, I'm going to transition all of these, and I'm going to transition to resolved. Normal service was recovered. All right, there we go. So we've gone from major incident, reported to responding, recovering, and now we've actually communicated out to everyone out there that, hey, service is restored normal and we can monitor it. So that's what we've got in an overview of major incident. Were there any questions or anything that we wanted to cover before we transition away here? Was there anything else that?
I mean, I was curious, Paul. I mean, so the whole premise of maybe the Agile framework essentially is also built around the idea of being able to gather learnings, record learnings, for instance, but also more importantly, implement some of those learnings in later iterations. So what's how does JSM account for that?
Yeah, it's a great question. I'm glad you asked about that. It's an important area, and I think we're we have a lot of passion around creating learning opportunities, continuous improvement. So I could just document a few fields and hope someone runs that report or looks at that dashboard. But what we've built into the product is postmortems that are here in Opportunity that will actually move into the Jira Service Management incident in the very near future. We preview that at team. But right here in front of me is I can say, hey, we're going to do a postmortem. I want you to finish the postmortem by this date. So it gives the team a little while. I already know who's involved with the application support team. And by the way, I didn't even really go into this. We knew which teams involved and their schedule and all of which apps and alerts. I didn't really get into that, but this team is now involved and they can collaborate on this postmortem. We can go ahead and click and go into this postmortem. It brings me into a small component of Confluence right here on the screen. And I can start as a team working through and filling this out. Now, for a lower level instance, let's say there's a P4, P3, probably a very small team. But if it's a P1 that's touching security, many parts of the business, I've got a lot of valuable information here. And let's say security wasn't even involved in this major incident. I have the ability to go ahead, let's say I'm putting this in review. I'm going to send this out to Confluence. Now, for sake of time, I'm going to go over to Confluence. I'm going to show you one that was created. Why would you take it out to Confluence? Well, Confluence is where your director of this, that owns this service is, and they have the ability to come in and view the page. They may never go into the ticket itself. Well, here's an example of a PIR that was exported from a previous web store is down ticket back in November. And we know who owns the postmortem. We actually see the incident. We have the ability to go through and start documenting, collaborating, bringing in the security team, the timelines there, the corrective actions, other related issues and tickets. So what is in most other ITSM tools that I've worked with in my consulting days, it's some fields that are documented that someone hopefully runs a report. And what we believe is the learnings are here. It may not even be technology. It could be, hey, this practice needs to change. So we want to unlock that. And that's where this unlocks it, that you could put it, the PIR tickets off of this could go into a dashboard. You could do a problem investigation, may result in a change ticket that's going to do some sort of major reconfiguration. Lots of possibilities, but the whole key part of this is open the learnings for greater learnings and better collaboration.
Totally agreed. Totally agreed. And I think just the notion of flexibility across all the Atlassian tools and scaling up and scaling down has been something that has helped us as partners and very much so on our customer side. No, that was great. I think this was all extremely helpful information. Thanks.
Well, we certainly covered a lot today. And like I said, bringing me back to my service desk days where when we were dealing with incidences, outages, we were hustling to find the right knowledge base article, hoping that it was up to date, and then looking at escalation lists and spreadsheets in all kinds of places. So it's really amazing to see how we can work in one platform and not have to go all over the place in a war room to get things going again. We covered a lot, like I said. Before we move on to the Q&A session, I want to ask both Faisal and Paul if you have any closing remarks for the group here.
Sorry, speak on mute. I think mainly I actually wanted to know what's exciting you, Paul. I mean, from an Atlassian standpoint and being so heavily involved in DevOps and just being in the software and product world. What's keeping you up at night? What's getting you excited nowadays?
It's been very busy over the last couple of months, and Atlassian's growing, and the investment into this area, we see a new vision, a new direction for where service management is going, whether it's towards the business and supporting them being more collaborative and being able to, fast time to value, but also getting closer to the development teams. That feature that I saw on screen where it told me the related tickets, that wasn't there before I went on holiday. And so just to see how quickly we're moving using it. So AI on smarts, we're very, specifically investing where we see the need from teams. We learn from teams. And so you'll see a lot more in that space from Atlassian. And then I think the other part of it is being able to follow the flow of work. There's some areas that out over the horizon is we're starting to look at how do I how do I put this together? There's some things we previewed with the DevOps, Open DevOps, that kind of tell you what's my rate of change and my lead time. Well, there's some of those metrics and flow of work that we'll start to see on the IT side. And so I'm excited to see that come back into the product, as we did announce that we're on our cloud product. We're building our analytics capability on Amazon's data lake, and we
Beautiful.
acquired Chartio. So we'll have some really good insights to unlock there once that's operational in the coming months.
Nice. Well, I'm excited about Atlassian's M&As, so I'll be hanging around. No, but honestly, I think on a broader scale, just macro level, just seeing the big push towards cloud, and even in our client roster, and how even the most cloud reluctant crowd is now very all hands on deck to move to the cloud, has been super exciting for us on a business level and what we do here at Appnovation. So yeah, I mean, that's all great.
I've enjoyed working with you all in the times that we've had a chance to be on customer calls together. So
Absolutely, likewise.
Fantastic team here to help you get started if you're looking to go on this journey.
Absolutely, feelings is mutual, and yeah, thanks everyone for joining us today. I think Vanessa, did we have some questions coming in throughout the?
Yeah, actually we do. So let me read out the first one here. So what makes Jira Service Management a better choice for an organization over more mature ITSM tools such as ServiceNow or VMC Remedy? Faisal, do you want to take this one?
I mean, I'm pretty sure Paul has maybe a bit more solid points on that. I'm pretty sure you run into it more than once. But do you want to tackle it?
I think because this just came up on a customer call just a couple hours ago. I was on a 2-hour demo to start my day with a very large customer on the West Coast, and they were looking at ServiceNow. We got to the end; it was really unlocking that new way of working. And I go back to a Gartner report. Gartner is a great recommender of where you go. And one of the things they said is customers overbuy. The percentage in that report, it's a public report about how to buy your next ITSM tool. And they said you tend to overbuy. And that's where we're very intentional. We're putting feature sets in that a team can adopt, versus I commonly hear, I'm coming off of whatever ITSM tool, and we only use this portion of it. And they bought it. We're building that you can put in what you want, how you work today, and keep the cost low.
That modular mentality is super important. That's why you can land and with 10 teams and expand to 10,000 users very easily, because it is scalable all the way up or all the way down. So I think I myself appreciated that from using the platform. Yeah, I think that's super important. Myself, I mean, going up against ServiceNow and some of the things that we do as well, it is really just the intuitiveness of the platform. And I think, Paul, you mentioned it, sometimes it's a lot more and it's an overkill from what they want. Yeah. And knowing that they can start somewhere, branch into somewhere else, and the tool is built to facilitate that is absolutely a winning theme here.
And I think one last thing I'll say, we've seen a lot of customers moving off of legacy remedy systems. That's the environment I know, or even ServiceNow. And our intention is, we're not focused on, hey, we're going to replace all the ServiceNow that's out there. We're building something. It's for what we believe is the direction of the industry. And we're very, we're pleased with the results of the number of ServiceNow replacements. So it's like VMware is one that spoke at Summit a couple of years back here, and they've been in this journey for a while. And it was the platform. We have to be on the same platform as our development teams because their cloud offering is so strategic.
We'll take another question. So this one's asking, what is the difference between Jira Service Desk and Service Management?
Yeah, so Jira Service Desk essentially got rebranded to be named Jira Service Management. However, it comes with a lot more. So I think as we mentioned today, it comes with integrations that allows you to connect into OpsGenie for alerting and connecting that to your logging and auditing tools. It also comes with Insight Asset Management as well, which you can implement actual asset management and a CMDB within your organization. Those are all things that when Jira Service Desk was Jira Service Desk, you'd have to add those essentially to your package, and it won't be sort of an all bundled package. So I think the features and the additional power and firepower you get out of Jira Service Management is absolutely why everyone's sort of not too mad about Jira Service Desk turning into Jira Service Management. But yeah, I think at a core of it, it's still a very familiar product. It's not different from what people were used to. It just comes with a lot of added bells and whistles that I think a lot of organizations are leveraging already. So it would be an easy decision to make. So in my eyes, I think that's what I found the main differences to be. Paul, what do you think?
No, I think you're right on. It does mark a direction for us to move in as the product is maturing, and we're very specifically adding features that we believe teams need, to accomplish the mission, whether it's supporting the business or infrastructure and operations on the engineering and development side.
Makes sense.
And we have two more questions. Are we able to integrate Jira Service Management with a different set of add-ons than what was shown today?
Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, the great news as far as in the demo I was showing you, I wasn't using any apps from the marketplace. So everything you saw was out of the box there, a part of the product. I have the premium version of setup in my environment. But I think that's the marketplace is the adaptability. Back to VMware for a minute. And I've seen this in a couple of the customers when I get in, are like, how many apps do you have you've chosen to deploy? And it's usually on average 3 to 4. Sometimes a little bit more depending on what they need. But the one thing, and I think it was even the IT director from Airbnb, he made the point when he was on stage at our summit event in Vegas, he said, that was a key differentiator. It was the adaptability. I could choose what I needed. And I think they've actually swapped out some apps over the years as their requirements have changed.
Yeah, and I think Robert too. He didn't have in his part of the demo that was all out of the box, and that really has been the biggest selling point in my experience. The fact that you can start with the core products, which are already super powerful out of the box, but then the rich spectrum of add-ons and even you can send your APIs to external systems. Maybe if there's no connectors, the opportunities are endless. The potential is huge.
Thanks both. And our final question is asking if we're able to demo this to teams within our company. Pretty sure we can.
Absolutely. I think Atlassian themselves, they run a couple of demos a week, live demos with live Q&As that have been terribly helpful for myself and for the rest of us, and they're always serving as a good refresher. What we've done in the past, and for everyone here on the call, I think that the first place to go to is the Atlassian on-demand demos for JSM that they run on, again, I think 2 times a week. Paul, you can keep me honest. Beyond that, I think they cover everything that would have to be covered. Us as a partner as well, we'll work with Atlassian to make sure that we fill in any gaps with a more customized sort of demo or walkthrough to address the specific nuances. I think between both those avenues, you should clearly understand, I guess, what the full functionality of the product looks like and have it tailored to your use case.
Great. That wraps up the questions. And I think we're just at the end of our session today. So Thank you, everyone. It was great talking to you all. Really some good insights that were shared from the both of you. Great. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks. Have a great day.
Have a good rest of the week.